Guys, let's get right to the Microsoft deal, Jim. We're going to talk to Nadella, of course, later on in the hour. They are sort of framing this as improving their AI capability across healthcare specifically and some other industries, too.
Look, I think it's brilliant. And the reason I think it's brilliant is there are a couple companies that really have a hammerlock on the data. They are Cerner and then the larger one, Epic. Epic has always said over and over again, we will never sell, we will never sell. So it seemed like you could never get the data and store the data. They have it and they won't share it. But Nuance has deals with them. And so therefore, Microsoft has everything it needs to conceivably be in control of all of what you need to know about individuals. It's almost as if they really have what I regard as being a database that could really change the way healthcare is done. So I know it starts as AI, but what it really goes to is all of your data is with Azure, which is their AWS. And I think it's brilliant. They're going to be able to control a lot of what is known about healthcare and known about you, known about individuals. No one has ever been able to do this. I think it's brilliant. David, what do you think?
Okay. Sorry, I was having an audio problem for a moment. I'm good now, guys. Yeah, listen, Jim. It's curious to see them do a large deal. Not curious, because they have been. It's been a part of their strategy for some time. You always have to wonder in this environment what it will look like on the antitrust front. I mean, on the face of it, perhaps there should be no opposition. But this is a test of a new administration, which we know is focused on this and focused on competitiveness and privacy in a lot of different areas, Jim. And so one would have to imagine that will also at least be something that we should keep in mind here.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because what happened is, well, look, Nuance is a small company. The fact that they have all these deals with everybody who really, the major companies that know your data, hasn't really mattered. But when you pair that with Microsoft, which is an unbelievable company when it comes to the cloud, then I think that there will be issues about privacy in the cloud. There'll be issues about whether this company, Microsoft, now has everything, because Nuance had these great deals. So I absolutely think that what's going to happen, Carl, is the questions in the new administration are going to be about privacy and power. How do you make it so that Microsoft doesn't own everybody's healthcare data? I know that if you bought Epic and you bought Cerner, you might be able to get that, but no one was ever able to do that, particularly Epic. Epic is just so powerful, but now Epic has a deal with Nuance. So Nuance is going to be Microsoft. Microsoft effectively has a deal with Epic, and people don't recognize how important Epic is, but when you go to the hospital, take a look. It's almost always Epic, and they've been hard to crack. Microsoft's going to crack them.
Yeah, we can't wait to dig into it with CEOs, David, on strategy and I guess on price, too, right? This was a little bit higher than had been originally reported over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stock that already was up dramatically over the last year, although, prior to that, it had not seen heights anywhere near, as we get ready to speak to Mr. Nadella and Mr. Benjamin later this hour, anywhere near where it's getting taken out, which, of course, you like. It isn't all a cash deal. Always important to sort of point that out. No Microsoft stock being done as a consideration here. Let's call it about $16 billion. There is some debt involved, which gets the overall enterprise value up closer to $20 billion. But from an equity perspective, more or less closer to 16. And as you say, Carlson, it is a 23% premium to the closing price on Friday. Jim, it's not as though Microsoft doesn't have the ability to spend cash all day long on whatever it wants. And to your point, for Microsoft, not that large a deal, but in this M&A market, one of the larger ones that we've seen in some time.
Well, David, a lot of people see that Microsoft stock has just been on this incredible tear. So explain to me, just walk through why management would not buy this company with stock. Does Mr. Nadella honestly maybe thinks that the stock is cheap?
I don't know. Obviously, it also has to do to a certain extent with the desire of the acquired party. And we could ask Mr. Benjamin, perhaps, on that front. I don't have any real background here in terms of the merger itself at this point. It is very cheap to borrow at the level that Microsoft can. Obviously, they have plenty of cash on hand, and do something so that it can become more. It would be more accretive, Jim, than even using your own stock. That often is the case in an environment where interest rates are as low as they are. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And another is, I don't really know what the buyer was thinking, although given he is going to remain, right, with the company in some way, you know, sometimes you do like to have your own shareholders still have something in the game, so to speak. So it is an interesting point to make.
Look, I think that one of the things that we really have to talk about. Oh, Carl, I'm just saying this might be the beginning of a consolidation between technology and health. That's what we have to watch, Carl.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.